How to recover when you get triggered. Hello everybody, and welcome to Male Wisdom. In this video, I'm going to show you how to deal with triggers. For a lot of us, triggers can be really tough and cause a lot of pain. But the good news is that there are things we can do to become unshakable and not let them bother us anymore. So stick around and I'll show you exactly what to do. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Have you seen the animated movie Inside Out? It is a movie that shows how a person can be controlled by their emotions every second of every day. Every day, you experience a variety of emotions. You could feel happiness, sadness, excitement, frustration, or disappointment, and all your feelings are connected to the various events in your life. Both simple and complex life events can be emotional triggers. For example, you can be triggered by the loud noise in your neighborhood or the news you hear on television. All your reactions to these triggers are based on your current mindset. A trigger is anything that could bring about unpleasant feelings and instantaneous emotional responses. An example of a trigger is when you are disturbed by a piece of terrifying news. The news is the trigger and being concerned is the emotional reaction. What is an emotional trigger? An emotional trigger can be your memories or experiences that create a robust emotional response despite your present mood. Emotional triggers are associated with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. Triggers explain a person's reactions rather than being used as an excuse for the behavior. These reactions are a person's survival responses. Understanding triggers can help you become more understanding and forgiving of your misbehaviors. Being able to recognize your triggers is also a responsibility. It would help if you were responsible enough to change your unconscious responses. Every single person has different emotional triggers. These triggers are usually unwanted and uncomfortable memories or experiences. For example, betrayed beliefs and feeling unwanted or too needed. These scenarios are challenging to avoid and can happen unexpectedly. Not all of these can trigger you. So, how do you identify triggers that set you off? Being mentally aware of your triggers is very important. If you are in a situation where you are triggered, you have to make a mental note of it. This first step is essential in recognizing your triggers. You must listen to your mind and body when it creates intense emotional reactions. Suppose you are in a situation where you feel you will be emotionally triggered. Pause, think, and ask these questions. What just happened? What do I feel? Am I angry or happy? After asking yourself the questions above, you should also ask, have I been in a similar situation before? Did I react in the same way? Negative childhood experiences may have shaped your triggers. Ask yourself if it's possible that you feel this way at the present moment because of your childhood issues. For example, you might have been in a situation where you were very pleased about something and wanted to share it with your parents. They came home tired from work. You told them about it, but you didn't receive the reaction you hoped. You feel you aren't good enough. The trigger here is your parents' reactions. Whenever you are in a situation where you are about to share something positive, you instantly feel depressed, thinking that sharing is pointless because you are not good enough anyway. In adulthood, every time you are caught up in this situation, you feel like a child again, wanting approval from your parents. Only the mind gets triggered, not the real you. Your mind has associated a story with each event in your life. Each figure that comes into your experience has a tale about it based on erroneous data and false interpretations or impressions. How often have we overreacted to a circumstance only to realize afterward that our mental story about the occurrence was primarily, if not entirely, false? Recognize that most of your triggers are being magnified by your mind by filtering them through the story you made up. So be unbothered by realizing that there are uncountable things that could have happened in their lives that they didn't text back. Your mind is only focusing on the worst case scenario. Realize that your mind may tell you that you won't find a new one very soon, or it can say that you always find something. Most of us say it is a classic story. However, the key word is the story. You see, it is all a narrative. Do you suppose it makes an incident many times worse than it is? It might not even be that bad if you keep your energy aligned. Even if you get fired, this good vibe can earn you a job the next day. Yes, this is how fast our subconscious mind works if we allow it, but we keep listening to our story. I have never appreciated my overreactions after that. After everything has calmed down, I realize that the story in my head is one that I believe to be true. You are not your mind. You are the observer aware of your mind. and can remain silent while observing these thoughts. Whoever it is that is looking at the world through your eyes is the actual you, and this real you have the power to choose whether or not to believe any tale your mind tells you. This consciousness is just the act of inhabiting your body and participating in life's game. You are acting out a role, but ultimately you come to believe that you are the role that you are performing. On the other hand, you are the genuine person hiding behind the fictional character. You can assume the persona of whatever you tell it to be. It is entirely dependent on how you choose to direct your attention. You will never get triggered if you let go of all the bad stories that you have been telling yourself in your head. Believe me when I say that I have been there, done that, and was the type of person that would get triggered by nearly everything. Experience is the best teacher. Simply by becoming aware that our mind labels our experiences based on the lens of the story we tell ourselves, we may train ourselves to endure practically any feeling and completely experience them without assigning moral value to them. You may discover a good girl, but because you have a tale that you always get cheated on, your mind will scrutinize her every behavior to strengthen the narrative that you always get cheated on. Because our thoughts and attention are creative, your story about the two of you will eventually accomplish what you hope it will do. We bring into existence what we give our attention to, and as a result, becoming unshakable begins with one easy step: becoming aware of and discovering the mental stories you've been telling yourself, because the outside world is not provoking you. Your mind is the one that is being initiated because the stories it contains have been evoked by anything. This does not mean you should not feel sadness and sorrow when a tragic event occurs. On the contrary, you should. It is not that the overly exaggerated triggers of our mind are the cause of our sorrow in day-to-day life. Instead, it is the fact that when you lose a loved one, you are left to grieve and feel the anguish you are experiencing. Never should you strive to detach yourself from your feelings. This is an additional example of a mental story that might result in more pervasive and unrelenting pain. It is all about disentangling the story from what occurred. Doing so reduces the agony to the size of a pebble rather than a mountain and leaves room for more happiness, since you can choose happiness now. Now that you know your history, you can alter it, make it more beautiful, elevate yourself, and create a better life. Remember that our thoughts and feelings are creative, so if you let go of the stories that trigger you, these triggers will also start to fade into the outer world. Whatever we let go of and release gets transmuted into positive energy. This is because whatever we fight gets turned into negative energy when we try to hold on to it, and whatever we let go of and release gets turned into positive energy when we let go and remove it. Therefore, become conscious of your background. A helpful AI quick tip that has been of great assistance to me is to remind myself every time I am about to get triggered that it is just a story. Feelings are part of your everyday existence. All these feelings can stir up your triggers, and that is normal. Be kind to yourself. Do not compare your past and present life. Your experience may have left you with wounds that are still healing. What happened in your past stays there. Learn from your past and deal with the present moment. Constantly remind yourself of this to choose a better response to your trigger. Sometimes it is better to step back and leave when the trigger is overwhelming. It is okay to ask for a break to avoid bursting with negative emotions. If you are alone, relax and take a deep breath. Your goal is to feel better and to think of a better action plan for approaching your trigger. You are giving yourself some space to breathe and clear your head. As soon as you can control yourself, it is time to face the triggering event calmly. Every single human being is at the mercy of their triggers. If you think the people around you are making you feel bad, think again. They too are humans like you. They too may feel triggered without you knowing it. Be open-minded so you understand the behavior of someone you are not familiar with. Don't be judgmental and try to consider their points of view. If you feel negative emotions, practice positive actions. When a person experiences negative and strong emotions, they often show negative responses. If you are lonely, you initially want to lock up inside your room and starve. Instead, it would help if you practiced showing positive actions. Do not lock yourself up. Instead, you should call your family or friends and hang out with them. Engage in activities that will produce positive feelings. Reminding yourself that it is just a story brings you into the present moment, and you become free from that story so that you can respond accurately. If the feelings are too intense, you can either take a seat and allow yourself to experience them entirely without judging or categorizing them. You can go on a walk and talk to yourself soothingly and gently to help you feel better. You may get out of your mind by using the momentum of walking and moving forward, by using self-talk to separate yourself from the story, and by reclaiming your power from your mind. The instant you bust your mind in the act is the time you are free from the story, and you become unshakable. Emotions can be really powerful. Sometimes they can get the best of us. This technique will help you take control of them and use them to your advantage. Make sure to check out my video where I discussed more about this topic. You will surely learn a lot from it, and in no time, you will be the true master of your emotions.